Here's a question that might make you uncomfortable. When was the last time you felt genuinely happy for a couple you saw on social media without immediately comparing them to your own relationship? If you're struggling to answer that, you're experiencing something that's quietly destroying millions of relationships around the world. We've become addicted to a version of love that doesn't actually exist, chasing digital perfection while our real connections crumble in the background. Today, we're diving deep into something most of us refuse to acknowledge: how social media has fundamentally corrupted our understanding of love, relationships, and human connection. But more importantly, we're going to explore how ancient Stoic wisdom can free us from this modern prison we've built for ourselves. I'm going to share with you why your relationship struggles might have less to do with your partner and more to do with the invisible algorithms manipulating your emotions every single day. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Marcus Aurelius would have deleted every social media app from his phone and why you might want to consider doing the same. Let's start with a hard truth that nobody wants to hear. Social media hasn't connected us more deeply with the people we love. It's actually done the opposite. It's created a generation of people who are more lonely, more anxious, and more disconnected from authentic human experience than any generation in history. Think about your last argument with someone you care about. How many times did you find yourself comparing your relationship to what you saw online? How many times did you screenshot something to send to your friends instead of having a real conversation? How many times did you prioritize getting the perfect couple's photo over actually enjoying the moment together? This isn't an accident. Social media platforms are designed to exploit our deepest psychological vulnerabilities. They've weaponized our need for connection, turning it into an addiction that profits from our insecurities. Every heart, every comment, every share triggers a small release of dopamine, creating a feedback loop that keeps us coming back for more. But here's where it gets really dark. These platforms don't just affect how we consume content, they fundamentally alter how we experience love itself. We start performing our relationships instead of living them. We curate our emotions instead of feeling them. We seek external validation instead of internal fulfillment. The ancient Stoics understood something profound about human nature that we've completely forgotten. They knew that when you make your happiness dependent on external circumstances, especially things outside your control, you become a slave to those circumstances. And what could be more outside your control than the opinions of strangers on the internet? Epictetus, who himself was literally a slave before becoming one of history's greatest philosophers, taught that true freedom comes from recognizing what is and isn't under your control. He would have looked at our modern obsession with likes, comments, and online validation with deep concern. Not because technology is inherently bad, but because we've allowed it to control us instead of the other way around. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah's been in a relationship for 3 years. On paper, everything should be perfect. She has a loving partner, a stable job, a comfortable life. But she spends hours every day scrolling through Instagram, comparing her relationship to the highlight reels of others. She sees couples on exotic vacations she can't afford, wearing clothes she can't buy, living lives that seem infinitely more exciting than her own. Slowly, insidiously, this digital comparison begins poisoning her real relationship. She starts nitpicking her partner's flaws. She becomes resentful about their modest lifestyle. She begins to believe that her relationship is somehow deficient because it doesn't look like what she sees online. Sarah's story is tragic because she's trading her actual happiness for an imaginary ideal that doesn't even exist. Those couples she's envying are often just as insecure as she is, performing their own happiness for an audience that includes people like her. This is what the Stoics would call a fundamental error in judgment. Sarah is making her peace of mind dependent on external appearances instead of internal reality. She's forgotten that love isn't a performance. It's not about having the most beautiful photos or the most enviable lifestyle. It's about the quiet moments of connection that happen when no cameras are rolling. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his private journal that would later become the Meditations, reminded himself constantly to focus on what truly matters. He wrote about the fleeting nature of external pleasures and the importance of finding contentment within yourself. He understood that when you chase approval from others, you lose touch with your own authentic experience. But social media love isn't just about comparison. It's also about substitution. We're replacing real intimacy with digital intimacy. We're trading deep conversation for emoji reactions. We're swapping quality time for shared screen time. Consider how many couples spend their evenings together, each scrolling through their own feeds, occasionally showing each other something funny or outrageous. They're physically present but emotionally absent. They're connected to their devices but disconnected from each other. The Stoic practice of mindfulness, of being fully present in the moment, becomes almost impossible when we're constantly being pulled into the digital world. How can you truly listen to your partner when notifications are constantly demanding your attention? How can you be fully present when part of your mind is always thinking about the next post you want to share? Seneca wrote extensively about the value of solitude and reflection. He understood that we need quiet spaces in our minds to process our experiences and understand our emotions. But social media eliminates these spaces. It fills every moment of potential boredom or reflection with stimulation. We never get a chance to sit with our feelings, to understand what we actually want versus what we think we should want. This constant stimulation doesn't just affect our relationships with others, it affects our relationship with ourselves. We lose touch with our own inner voice because it's constantly being drowned out by the voices of others. We forget what we actually enjoy because we're so focused on what gets engagement online. And then there's the problem of false intimacy. Social media creates an illusion of closeness with people we barely know. We see their daily updates, their photos, their thoughts, and we feel like we know them intimately. But this knowledge is superficial, it's curated, it's performance. Meanwhile, our actual intimate relationships suffer because we're not putting the same energy into them that we put into our online personas. We'll spend 20 minutes crafting the perfect comment on a stranger's post, but we can't be bothered to ask our partner how their day really went. The Stoics valued authenticity above all else. They believed in living according to your true nature, not according to what others expect from you. But social media rewards the opposite. It rewards performance, exaggeration, and the creation of an idealized self that may have little relationship to who you actually are. This performance becomes exhausting. You're constantly managing multiple versions of yourself, the version for your Instagram feed, the version for your Facebook friends, the version for your professional network. You lose track of who you actually are underneath all these personas. And what happens when your real life doesn't match up to your online persona? You feel like a fraud. You experience what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. The gap between your online self and your real self creates anxiety, depression, and a sense of inadequacy. But here's what's really insidious about social media love. It's addictive by design. The platforms use variable ratio reinforcement schedules, the same psychological principle that makes gambling so addictive. You never know when you're going to get that hit of validation, so you keep checking, keep posting, keep seeking. This addiction doesn't just waste your time, it rewires your brain. It makes you less capable of finding satisfaction in simple, quiet moments. It makes you less able to be present with the people you love. It makes you constantly seek external stimulation instead of finding peace within yourself. The Stoics understood that true happiness comes from within. It comes from living according to your values, from being virtuous in your actions, from accepting what you cannot control and working to improve what you can. None of this requires an audience. None of this needs validation from strangers. So what's the solution? How do we break free from this cycle? How do we reclaim authentic love and connection in a digital world? First, we need to practice what the Stoics called prososche, or continuous attention to the present moment. This means putting down your phone when you're with someone you care about. It means actually listening when they speak, instead of thinking about your next Instagram story. It means choosing presence over performance. Second, we need to remember that your worth as a person and as a partner has nothing to do with your online metrics. Your value isn't measured in likes or followers or comments. Your value comes from your character, your actions, your ability to love and be loved in real, messy, imperfect ways. Third, we need to create boundaries between our digital lives and our real lives. This might mean designated phone-free times. It might mean deleting apps that consistently make you feel worse about yourself. It might mean unfollowing accounts that trigger your insecurities or comparison tendencies. But most importantly, we need to remember what love actually is. Love isn't a highlight reel. It's not a series of perfect moments captured for an audience. Love is showing up when things are difficult. Love is choosing someone again and again, even when they're not at their most photogenic. Love is the private moments of connection that happen when nobody else is watching. The Stoics taught that the path to happiness involves aligning your life with reality rather than illusion. Social media love is ultimately an illusion. It's a performance based on other people's performances, creating an infinite loop of artificial experience. Real love is quiet. It's consistent. It's often boring by social media standards. It's choosing to wash the dishes together instead of going to a photogenic restaurant. It's holding hands during a movie instead of taking a selfie. It's having deep conversations about real problems instead of crafting witty captions. This doesn't mean you can never share moments of joy with others online, but it means being honest about why you're sharing. Are you sharing to connect authentically with people you care about? Or are you sharing to seek validation, to perform happiness, to maintain an image? The difference matters. One comes from abundance, from genuine joy that overflows naturally. The other comes from scarcity, from a need to prove something to yourself and others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Remember that very little disturbs the wise man, for he lives most of his life in accord with reason." A life lived in accord with reason means making decisions based on your actual values and experiences, not based on what will get the most engagement online. It means choosing real connection over digital performance. It means valuing depth over breadth in your relationships. It means finding contentment in simple, private moments of love that don't need to be documented or shared. The dark side of social media love isn't just that it makes us unhappy. It's that it makes us forget what real happiness feels like. It trains us to seek external validation instead of internal peace. It teaches us to perform emotion instead of feel it. But you have the power to choose differently. You have the power to close the app and have a real conversation. You have the power to put down your phone and be fully present with someone you love. You have the power to find contentment in your actual life instead of constantly seeking something better, something more shareable, something more enviable. The Stoics believed that wisdom comes from understanding what truly matters and what doesn't. In our digital age, this wisdom is more important than ever. What truly matters is your character, your relationships, your ability to be present and authentic in a world that constantly pushes you toward performance and pretense. Your love life doesn't need to be Instagram-worthy to be meaningful. Your relationship doesn't need to generate likes to be valuable. Your happiness doesn't need an audience to be real. So here's my challenge for you. For the next week, try to love without documenting. Have conversations without sharing them. Enjoy moments without photographing them. See if you can find joy in experiences that exist only for you and the people you're with. You might discover that when you stop performing love, you actually start feeling it more deeply. When you stop comparing your relationship to others, you start appreciating what you actually have. When you stop seeking validation from strangers, you start finding validation within yourself. The ancient Stoics lived thousands of years before social media, but their wisdom is more relevant now than ever. They understood that true happiness comes from within, that authentic relationships require presence and vulnerability, and that the path to a meaningful life involves focusing on what you can control rather than what you cannot. In our hyperconnected world, the most radical act might be disconnecting, not from people, but from the systems that profit from your insecurity and loneliness. The most powerful choice might be choosing reality over performance, presence over documentation, authentic love over the illusion of perfect love. Your real life, with all its imperfections and quiet moments, is more beautiful than any highlight reel. Your actual relationships, with all their challenges and private jokes, are more valuable than any online persona. Your genuine emotions, even the difficult ones, are more meaningful than any curated feeling. The choice is yours. You can continue to be a slave to the algorithm, constantly seeking the next hit of digital validation. Or you can choose the path of the Stoics, accepting what you cannot control, working on what you can, and finding peace in the present moment. True love doesn't need an audience. True happiness doesn't need documentation. True connection doesn't need validation from strangers. These things exist in the quiet spaces between the posts, in the moments when the phones are put away, in the choice to be fully present with another human being. That's where real love lives. That's where authentic connection happens. That's where you'll find the peace and contentment that no amount of likes or follows can provide. If this video resonated with you, if you're ready to choose authentic connection over digital performance, let me know in the comments below. Share your own experiences with social media and relationships. And if you found value in these Stoic principles, make sure to subscribe for more content about living meaningfully in the modern world. Remember, the goal isn't to become a hermit or to reject all technology. The goal is to use these tools consciously to make choices that align with your values and to prioritize real human connection above digital validation. Your authentic self is worth more than 1,000 perfect posts. Your real relationships are more valuable than any online persona. Your present moment awareness is more powerful than any digital distraction. Choose wisely, choose consciously, choose love over performance, presence over documentation, reality over illusion. Your future self will thank you, and so will everyone who loves the real you.